I want to welcome you to the Anyone Can Win Entrepreneurial Success Program. This is the success program that's anchored totally in the reality that people don't succeed because they never have a problem. They succeed because they have learned the skills how to overcome every problem that's going to come their way, do it quickly, and move on as fast as possible. Also, people have to learn the skill of how to resource, how to acquire what you need from the little bit you might be starting with. So I'm inviting you to join me as you start your own entrepreneurial journey, and we can get started on that journey here right now in just a few seconds. Hey, it's Mike DeZinno, America's Blind Tradesman, and I created the Anyone Can Win Entrepreneurial Training Program so I could share what I've learned over the years. By the way, most of what I learned, I'll be very honest with you, I learned it the hard way because I made the mistakes, big mistakes sometimes. But by sharing what I learned in the School of Hard Knocks, maybe I can save you a few stubbed toes and a scraped nose. Anyone Can Win is a step-by-step coaching and mentoring program for anyone in the trades or anyone who wants to become the master of their own destiny and the captain of their own ship by becoming self-employed or developing a supplemental income to supplement their full-time career. I have been self-employed since 1973, and I was able to build several businesses to multi-million-dollar status using my trade skill, one of them in as quick as 18 months. And because I'm blind, I had to overcome a few more obstacles that most people would never even have to think about, let alone overcome. I was the first blind child in the United States that was allowed to go to public school back in the early 50s, which meant I didn't learn Braille because they didn't teach Braille in public school. Simple reason, right? But so that left me at a little bit of a disadvantage because that left me going into my adult years, not being able to read, not being able to write, and not being able to drive. But I still had to get to the job site, still had to get materials, still had to go out and hustle work and do written proposals and bids. I still had to do all the banking and bookkeeping and paperwork that the law requires that you do to have a business and be self-employed. I even had to self-fund my businesses because none of the traditional sources of lending thought it made any sense for a blind guy to be in the trades, let alone be self-employed in the trades spending their money. That just didn't make any sense to them. They couldn't wrap their brains around it. So I just had to go out and prove them wrong, right? So it will be my privilege to be sharing with you the step-by-step nuts and bolts of how I put together all the various little plans I used to succeed and beat the odds, and how I was able to overcome it all, and how I honestly believe anyone can do that too, applying some of the principles and some of the skills and some of the little techniques I've learned along the years. And by learning a few basic skills, any of us can become agents of change, starting with our own lives. You can't go out and save the world until you save yourself first. That's kind of like a fundamental thing. I have to also warn you right up front that being in the trades, I am not terribly politically correct, don't intend to be. I kind of take it as a badge of pride and honor, as most people in the trades do, that PC is okay for the rest of the world, but it gets in the way when you're trying to hustle and get something done. So you're not going to get a hype and PMA. You're going to get all good, solid information here. I'm not going to tell you after you've been kicked in the head. Don't focus on the pain. Focus on how good it's going to be when the pain goes away when you get out of the hospital in 6 months. Come on. That's nonsense, because you can't lie to yourself. To put it no other way, if somebody stiffs you for $100,000 that you were counting on getting after 6 months of hard work, and what you got instead of a check was a letter from their lawyer explaining their excuse why they're not going to pay you, that sucks. There's no way to say it. It sucks, and it sucks big time because it's not that you didn't get the money. It created a whole bunch of new problems probably if you're like everyone else and needed the money. It's created all kinds of problems for you that you've now got to solve just so you could continue to move ahead. And the fact is, life is just a nothing, but you're always going to find yourself at a fork in the road, and one side is quit and give up, and the other side is where the obstacle sits right in the middle of that road. And you're going to have to figure out how to get around that obstacle and continue on your mission if you're ever going to succeed. If you appreciate straight talk, then I'm going to ask you to please like this video and subscribe to my America's Blind Tradesman YouTube channel, and you'll get a link right there in a second. And so it's time to roll up our sleeves and go to work. And I will see you in the next video as we start our journey together. Ciao. Take care.